The season starts. Evolved interior educate. A guy named Ree sits quietly on his seat. Suddenly a set of thugs walks in and begins evolved bothering him. You need to look at actual gun. They mistake him for a few harmless roadman and start to behave aggressive, but inside moments Ree steps in with calm self-assurance and lightning rapid movements. He takes all of them down one at a time. In simply minutes he throws them to the floor and leaves them helpless. After the thugs are arrested and brought to the police station, Detective Carter watches the safety pictures of Ree fighting them. As she sees his fast and precise movements, she's surely greatly surprised. There is something approximately the manner he fights due to the fact it is now no longer regular. It's sharp, tactical and expert. She walks into the interrogation room curious and careful. She starts evolved thinking Ree, suspecting that he have to have a historical past in unique forces or a few elite unit. His fight abilities are simply too delicate for an everyday man or woman. Then she asks him for his call. Ree, with a calm however guarded expression, replies that it looks like she's asking due to the fact he's in problem. Just then a person indicates up at the station he's there to get Reese launched. Within moments he pulls a few strings and receives Reese out, strolling him proper out of the police station, leaving Carter with greater questions than answers. As Reese steps out of the station he thank you the person who helped him. His transient counselor, with at a loss for words look, Ree asks him why he did all this. After all, they do not even recognize every different. The guy in reality replies that a person needs to communicate to him without explaining an awful lot. He leads Ree a long way far from the town noise to a quiet spot close to a river, and there awaiting him is a person named Mr. Finch. Mr. Finch frivolously tells Ree that he knows the whole thing approximately him, but Reese does not accept as true. With him he stares returned and says Finch does not recognize him in any respect. That's whilst Finch begins evolved reminding him of his beyond that, how Ree as soon as labored for the authorities, how he turned into a part of dangerous covert missions. He talks approximately the matters that subsequently broke him. He reminds Ree of ways after a while the equal authorities started the usage of him like a weapon till Ree subsequently walked away. Finch exhibits the maximum surprising component. The authorities believes Ree is lifeless. Rez is shocked. He wasn't awaiting all people to recognize a lot, not to mention a complete stranger. Then Finch receives to the factor. He tells Ree he has a process for him, one that may simply store his existence. Finch takes Ree to New York City, a rapid transferring crowded location standing most of the noise and power of the town. Finch tells him something chilling, that each 18 hours a person dies in New York. Ree remains calm and responds that awful matters appear to humans all of the time, but Finch has a one-of-a-kind angle. He explains that lots of those crimes don't simply appear out of nowhere. They're deliberate weeks or even months earlier, and if a person knew who the goal became earlier than the crime came about, they might show lifestyles that's in which Finch is available in. These humans don't even recognize what is coming for them. Most of them are simply ordinary humans, and all of them want assist. Then Finch points towards a female shopping for espresso. Her call is Diane. Finch tells Ree that this female is on the pinnacle of his listing for the week. He explains that they do not know exactly what will appear to her or what position she performs with inside the coming occasion. She will be the sufferer or she will be the culprit. Finch says the system would not provide an awful lot aside from simply a social protection wide variety, but even that's sufficient to prevent something horrible if they act in time. That's in which Ree comes in. Finch wishes him to observe Diane, examine her and parent out what is about to appear, and prevented. Reese appears over at Diane. He watches her from a distance for a second, analyzing her. Then with a mild smirk he tells Finch that perhaps she's simply concerned in a few type of dating drama. Maybe he's a jilted lover, or perhaps Diane is his ex-spouse or mystery lady friend. He shrugs and says he is achieved due to the fact he is now no longer interested. Before Finch can prevent him, Reese disappears. He slips beyond Finch's guards, effects vanishing into the city like a shadow. Ree returns to a resort. He shaves, then lies at the mattress with a drink in hand, slowly drifting off to sleep. Later a noise wakes him up. As he reaches for his Telecel smartphone he realizes certainly considered one among his palms is tied to the mattress. On the other cease of the decision is Finch talking to him. Lightly Finch tells him he desires to recognize something anything, the information they get is probably incomplete. However, it's in no way incorrect. Finch explains that Ree ought to recognize what it seems like to have the information that a person goes to die and nevertheless be not able to assist them. That helplessness is what Finch wishes him to understand. Reese begins evolved getting angry. Suddenly he hears a person outdoor the door without ready. He breaks a mirror with the assist of lamp and makes use of it to free his hand. Acting rapid, he receives equipped. As he opens the room door, in there is a speaker gambling a recording in the other room. Finch is sitting quietly. He tells Ree that he is already too past due. The recording he simply heard is from 3 years in the past. In that very room a female became murdered via way of means of her husband for insurance money. Finch explains that Ree become too past due to keep her, similar to he become too past due to keep his pal Jessica. She died whilst he become on the alternative aspect of the international, not able to do something. Hearing Jessica's call shocks Ree. He grabs Finch and pushes him towards the wall, anger growing in his eyes. He needs to know how Finch is aware of approximately her, but Finch remains calm. He tells Ree that he left the authorities due to the fact they lied to him, but Finch guarantees he'll in no way misinform Ree. He says he believes Ree continually desired to keep human beings, however the authorities used him for its very own desires. Ree ultimately weakened him. Cross Ree alternatives up the recording and realizes it is a court faucet. That means Finch have to have ties to the authorities or the NSA. He questions Finch at once. Finch replies evenly. He says he isn't a part of the authorities. Ree can consider him involved. 1/3 birthday celebration. Then Finch says something extra. He admits that maybe he could not keep that lady and Ree could not keep Jessica both. However, now they've a danger to keep Diane. Finch is giving him the possibility to be there in time. Reese listens. Finch's phrases begin to get via to him. Finally Finch suggests him a photo of Diane and appears at Ree. He says the real query with the intention to he be capable of keep her. Then without watching for an answer Finch walks away. Finch suggests Ree his workplace, the location wherein he operates the entirety backstage. After that each of them start monitoring Diane as they comply with her. Finch stocks details approximately Diane's beyond lifestyles. Reese breaks into her residence silently and efficiently. He plugs a flash force into her laptop and copies all of the documents. He additionally checks her remedy prescriptions, collecting as a good deal facts as he can later. He heads to the courthouse wherein Diane works as a prosecutor. There he hacks into her Telesol smartphone without being detected. Afterward they screen Diane's apartment via hidden cameras. Reese updates Finch and explains that given Diane's line of labor she ought to have many enemies. However, he has narrowed it right all the way down to 2 capability threats. The first is her cook Ancilla Wheeler, a person she had been seeing for the beyond few months. However, now she needs him to reduce off from her lifestyles. The second is a person named Pope. Diane visits Pope in jail. She sits across from him and asks him at once approximately the truth. She believes he might not have killed the human beings he's being charged for. She suspects his more youthful brother Michael is probably worried. It appears to her that Pope is defensive a person else by taking the autumn. However, Pope warns her. He says the human beings worried are extremely risky. If she continues digging they will come for her. They'll kill each of them. Diane would not back off. She says she's going to carry them to justice. She is aware of they are nonetheless obtainable on foot. Free Pope loses his mood. He assaults her and tells her to live away if she would not. He and Michael will each grow to be lifeless. Reese meets Michael and attempts to invite him a few questions on Pope. However, Michael would not say something. He continues silent and Speedy walks away. Before leaving, Reese secretly slips a cellular Telesol smartphone into Michael's bag. Through it he can music his region and concentrate to his environment a little. Even as later a collection of guys abducts Michael as they start to beat him. Ree arrives on the scene simply in time. Reese Speedy takes down the attackers and rescues him, but then Reese notices something peculiar, that the guys he simply fought are clearly law enforcement officials. Everything begins evolved to make feel Michael and Pope are seeking to break out the police now, no longer due to the fact they are responsible, however due to the fact the actual killers are within the force itself. The police dedicated the murders and framed Pope to cowl it up. Reese meets Finch and stalks what He's exposed. He believes the institution worried are corrupt law enforcement officials. Their leader is Stills, who works in narcotics. Ree explains that they thieve tablets, eliminate witnesses, after which by skip the case on to Detective Fusco. After that they plant fake proof and body human beings like Bope, getting them arrested to cowl their tracks while tracking Diane's rental. Ree sees her acquire a call from Stills. He tells her to fulfill him. Rez follows her to the assembly as Stills pulls out his gun and fires at her. Diane unexpectedly lashes out at him. She yells at him angrily, and Reese realizes something crucial, that Diane is now no longer simply worried. She is the actual culprit. She's been a part of the whole scheme. Diane tells Stills that their actual hassle is her counselor Wheeler. He is aware of an excessive amount of. She warns that they will want to cope with Wheeler before he turns into a danger. The subsequent day in courtroom docket, Diane prepares to play a 911 call recording as a part of the proof, but as quickly as she hits play, something surprising occurs. Ree has already changed the recording. Instead of the unique audio, Diane's personal voice performs in the court. In the recording, she's definitely threatening Wheeler, telling Stills to kill him. Her voice is cold, calculating. She warns that if he fails, she'll deal with Stills too, simply like she had Pope killed in jail. Diane is greatly surprised. Her face freezes in surprise as the court is going silent. After that, Ree confronts Detective Fusco and holds him at gunpoint. Fusco is likewise a corrupt cop, and Ree is aware of it. Ree offers him a choice, that both begin running for him from the interior, or he's going to divulge everything, all of Fusco's secrets and techniques. Each grimy deal, each cowl up Fusco without two other alternative concurs. Just like that, Ree gains get entry to the internal workings of the police branch. All the case files, facts and personal intel is now inside Attain. The subsequent day, recalls Finch and says he dealt with the two men from Closing Nighttime who deliberate to kill a rich guy. Later they meet in person, and Finch stocks the following case about defensive: a 15-year vintage lady named Teresa who become declared lifeless 2 years in the past. Despite that, Finch believes she might nevertheless be alive, so restarts Evolved his search, digging into the incident from 2 years in the past. He begins Evolved investigating the chain of activities that brought about the dying of Teresa's complete own circle of relatives in what seemed to be a tragic coincidence. Re-listens to the news record from that point. In it, Teresa's uncle explains how her father killed the complete own circle of relatives, after which took his personal life. He says the person become below immense economic stress, however something about it would not take a seat down proper with Ree. He tells Finch that the entirety feels greater, like a expert hit, now no longer a murder-suicide. He believes the police missed something essential, however the huge question stays, that in which is Teresa. Finch indicates they look at Teresa's Aunt Elizabeth as an opportunity. Teresa may also have long gone to her, so Ree heads off to locate her and discover greater approximately what sincerely took place. Finch visits Teresa's aunt pretending to be from an insurance enterprise. He learns that Teresa's frame turned into in no way determined, and the own circle of relatives buried an empty coffin, assuming the sea took her for the duration of the seaside incident. The aunt, still grieving, says she cherished and misses Teresa deeply. Later, Finch tells Ree that the police could have been incorrect and indicates Teresa ought to have run away and stayed with pals. Ree follows up posing as a detective to impeach one of her vintage pals. However, the boy grows protecting and insists Teresa died 2 years in the past. Ree quietly pairs the boy's Telesol smartphone together along with his personal earlier than handing it. Lower back, Rez discovers a message he dispatched to Teresa. In it, he tells her that she needs to vanish. At that second, Ree spots Teresa's status at a distance. He right now begins Evolved following her, however she manages to slide away earlier than he can catch up. After that, Ree meets Detective Fusco in his automobile. Ree had in advance pressured Fusco to paintings for him at gunpoint. Now he questions Fusco. Approximately the group possibly related to Teresa's own circle of relatives is murder. Fusco tells him that if a person from that location turned into accountable, it would probably be a particular institution. Ree heads instantly to them, and after roughing up a few individuals, he sooner or later receives the call of the person in the back of all of it. The man's call is Slonick, and he's already in jail for some other case. Ree visits him there and questions him. Approximately the own circle of relatives he killed. Years in the past he asks why he murdered them, after which dumped their bodies in the water. He threatens Slonic caution that revealing his kill listing will most effective make matters worse. Slonic sooner or later admits to killing Teresa's own circle of relatives, however claims he in no way harms kids. He says the job got here through a one-time touch whose call he would not realize. Reese informs Finch, who suspects the human beings in the back of the hit now realize Teresa is alive and can have employed a person else to complete the job. They want to locate her. Rapid just then Finch says he would possibly have determined a lead. Teresa's father had currently done commercial enterprise with an enterprise named Landale, so Reese starts evolved investigating Landale's workplace from a distance. He updates Finch announcing that the whole thing in a seems like everyday workplace pastime, but suddenly Reese spots Teresa's uncle Derek in the constructing. That's whilst he realizes something suspicious is really going on the alternative facet. Finch manages to locate Teresa's deal with and informs Riri heads there to discover her. When he sooner or later meets Teresa, she right away threatens him, caution him now no longer to come any nearer or she can be able to assault him. Riri frivolously tells Teresa he's there to defend her due to the fact a person wishes her useless. Suddenly a person assaults from at the back of Reese, slightly saves them, shoots at the attacker and escapes with Teresa, but the attacker sporting a bulletproof vest survives. Rez takes Teresa to his inn and questions why she failed to visit her uncle Derek after escaping. She says her father warned her due to the fact Derek turned into at the back of all of it. The guy who killed her father even stated it turned into Derek's fault, that's why she concealed with pals. Instead Finch arrives and relieves Teresa in his care. Then meets Derek and bluntly asks if he had his very own brother and own circle of relatives killed to capture their assets and inheritance. Derek denies it. He explains that his brother believed this new task would possibly alternate their lives, however they did not have sufficient cash, so Derek organized an assembly between him and the Landale humans. What he failed to recognize turned into that Landale turned into worried and shady enterprise. When Teresa's father could not pay off the cash, they killed the entire own circle of relatives so the land could visit Derek, who ought to switch it to them. That land is now really well worth over 50 instances greater. Derek says they have kept him alive handiest due to the fact the land is in his call for now at this factory portions the whole lot collectively. He tells Derek that now on the grounds that Teresa is alive, if this information comes out all of the assets will legally visit her. Derek will be left with not anything. Reese rams a truck into the Landale owner's automobile, flipping it. Then strategy is the destroy. He warns the guy to prevent the hitman, however the guy says it is too past due to the fact they have already discovered Teresa and the killer is at the manor. Fast calls Finch urging him to go away right away. Finch grabs Teresa and that they rush to get away. The inn just as they attain the door, the killer shows up proper outdoor the gate and factors his gun at them equipped to shoot, but proper at that secondary arrives at the scene. He fees in and takes down the assassin simply in time, saving Finch and Teresa at the police station. Detective Carter meets Teresa. Carter likely asks her who stored her and why she in no way got here forward all this time, but Teresa doesn't say something. She remains quiet. Just then her aunt Elizabeth arrives. Teresa without delay runs to her and hugs her tightly. Elizabeth holds her near and then she takes her domestic. The subsequent day Finch tells Ree that they've a new case. This time it is approximately a soldier named Joey. He these days again from serving in Afghanistan and is now operating as a doorman, however his existence is in hazard. Ree begins evolved tailing Joey. He also clones his Telesal smartphone to display his activity. One day even as following him, Ree watches Joey stroll right into a financial institution pretending to test something casually, however suddenly Joey places on a mask and joins a set of armed guys. Together they rob the entire financial institution. They thieve all of the cash and Ree mendacity at the floor with the relaxation of their civilians quietly observes everything. After that Ree tells Finch that Joey is a financial institution robber, but Finch explains that all of Joey's preceding sports have been non-deadly and robbery doesn't commonly fall below their case kind, so they at the least want to parent out why Joey is doing all this. Rez keeps following Joey and sees him assembly a girl. Joey offers her a few cash and talks to her in short. Earlier than leaving, Rez unearths this peculiar due to the fact Joey already has a lady friend. Now it seems like like he is worried with every other girl, to which increases suspicion. Reese and Finch suspect Joey would possibly damage a girl when Reese sees him acquire a coin-stuffed parcel from a taxi. Finch strains the cab to a bar owned via way of means of excess. Sergeant Major Sam revisits. Sam earns his consider via way of means of posing as a fellow soldier and is obtainable a task that nighttime. Sam calls and says Ree will meet the crew. Instead they kidnap him. Joey holds him at gunpoint. Traumatic answers. Ree claims he is only a soldier attempting to live on after being deserted via way of means of the authorities. Joey, satisfied, lowers the gun. And shall we him be a part of later? Reese sees Joey meet a girl with a baby and updates Finch, inquiring for a history test on them. That nighttime Joey and his team rob an online casino. Even as Reese watches from afar, listening to police sirens via his synced radio, Reese quick warns them the team grabs what they could and escapes just earlier than the police arrive. Stored via way of means of Reese's well-timed alert. The subsequent day Ree meets Joey and tells him approximately a brand new task. However, Reese is already suspicious. He says they are approximately to threat the entirety again, and this time matters ought to cross wrong due to the fact their accomplice Stu is involved. Ree describes Stu as a reckless man who ought to reduce to rubble the whole operation. Joey but explains that he is simplest doing all this due to the fact he badly wishes money. Joey opens as much as Ree back in Afghanistan he were given unwell and his buddy took his location on obligation. That nighttime his buddy was killed. Joey has in no way forgiven himself. His buddy had a daughter and Joey feels answerable for her. He's taking risky jobs to shop sufficient for her education and destiny as the group heads out for some other task. Finch hacks Sam's Telesal smartphone and hears a recording in which Sam tells his boss the whole team can be killed all through the task due to the fact it is time to update them. Worried for Ree, Finch rushes to the theft web page to maintain cowl. Ree slams Finch towards a wall whilst Finch secretly warns him that Sam plans to kill the team the theft is going beforehand. However, Sam opens Hearth Place proper after most are killed besides Joey. Ree urges him to depart the crook lifestyles, reminding him he is a successful soldier who can start clean. Joey concurs and leaves together along with his female friend. Meanwhile, Detective Carter reveals the team's radio and contacts Ree, vowing to seize him. Rez actually replies good luck, and tells her to attempt later. Ree visits Sam's residence and reveals him lifeless. On the desk lies the equal container they stole all through the theft, and written on Pinnacle is a unmarried call Elias. After that, Finch is going to a health center pretending he wishes assist together along with his ache remedy. However, in fact he is there due to the fact their subsequent range is Dr. Tillman, who works at that health center. He is already internal the health center, retaining watch when Dr. Tillman finishes her shift and leaves. He follows her to a bar. There he notices a person who additionally appears to be looking her. Reese says it is the second one time he is visible this man close to her. He quietly bumps into him, steals his pockets and examines it. The man's call is Andrew and internal are benzodiazepine capsules, effective sedative. That's while Ree begins evolved to suspect Andrew is probably a chance back on the workplace. Ree talks to Finch. Finch tells him that Drive Tillman got here in early for her shift that morning and has already finished 3 surgical procedures. Ree notes that Dr. Tillman appears to be residing a double lifestyle, spending nights at bars and running long sanatorium shifts in the course of the day. Meanwhile, Finch seems into Andrew and unearths he's an funding banker with multiple rumors of sexual misconduct, even though never officially charged. At the equal time, Detective Carter critiques CCTV footage from the theft. She spots something suspicious that Ree turned into Speakum to a person in the course of the incident. She investigates and discovers that Guy is Finch. Carter will pay Finch a go-to at his domestic. She tells him that in the theft he turned into noticed on digital digicam, and a person in a healthy turned into really seen Speakum to him. Finch lightly explains that the person turned into simply caution him to appearance away and preserve his eyes down, but whilst Carter begins evolved urgent him with greater questions, Finch pretends to be traumatized with the aid of using the incident he tells her that it is all a blur and he don't forget a lot. Before leaving, Carter fingers him her commercial enterprise card, pronouncing that if he recollects whatever he should touch her. Meanwhile, Dr. Tillman is once more playing a drink whilst sitting at the bar. Andrew walks up and joins her. He begins evolved speaking to her and attempts to flirt, and Tillman responds with a grin playing alongside. She makes use of a faux call in the course of their verbal exchange. After some time she tells him that she's heading outdoor for a few clean air and he walks out with her. Andrew then gives to take her again to his area. However, Dr. Tillman politely declines, pronouncing she has an early morning shift at paintings. He shows they could get collectively a few different day. They each smile and component approaches that night time as Andrew enters his domestic passcode. Dr. Tillman secretly watches through a digital digicam as she's been tracking him. Reese tells Finch, then digs deeper into Andrew's beyond. He unearths that during university Andrew drugged and raped a lady. She turned into so traumatized she could not talk to police for 2 days, and with the aid of using then there wasn't sufficient proof to free him. The case turned into dropped. It seems that lady turned into Dr. Tillman's more youthful sister. After the incident she fell right into a deep depression and sooner or later took her personal existence by overdosing on antidepressants and snoozing capsules. Now Dr. Tillman is in search of revenge for her sister's loss of life. He realizes that Dr. Tillman is planning to kill Andrew, and now it is as much as him to forestall her earlier than it is to past due. After that attends an assembly in which Dr. Tillman and numerous others are gathered in a assist institution. Everyone is there to communicate approximately their private struggles and, beyond traumas during the consultation. Whilst a person brings up a rape case, Dr. Tillman will become visibly disillusioned and abruptly leaves the room. Rez follows her outdoor and attempts to speak. She introduces herself with a faux call. When Reese slightly asks why she got here to the assembly, she says she was hoping it would assist. She has an amazing task and solid existence. However, the whole thing changed these days. She noticed the person accountable for her friend's loss of life enjoyable at a fancy in consuming French meals with every other girl. From his conduct she ought to tell. He deliberates to attack her. To that second shattered her, bringing again all the painful recollections. Tells Finch they have to forestall Dr. Tillman from committing homicide, however additionally cannot permit Andrew move free, so that they plant tablets in his vehicle and leave it outdoor a police station. Andrew is arrested, however launched tomorrow to Reese's frustration. Later, as Andrew returns to his domestic, Dr. Tillman ambushes him. She knocks him subconscious, kidnaps him and throws him right into a van on the manor. She stops at a nearby bar to seize a drink, and it truly is. Whilst Reese suggests up, he talks to her flippantly and tells her that this is now no longer the answer. He reminds her that she's by no means killed all people earlier than, and as soon as she crosses that line she can be able to live with the remorse. Her task has constantly been to keep lives, now no longer take them. Promises her that Andrew will face consequences for what he did and offers her his word. Hearing this, physician Tillman breaks down in tears. Lightly asks her for the van keys and assures her that Andrew can no longer harm all people. After a second of hesitation she subsequently palms over the keys. After that releases Andrew and has an extreme verbal exchange with him. He threatens him immediately, caution that if he ever attempts to damage every other girl once more he will, in my view, kill him with a gun. At first Andrew acts defiant and refuses to confess he did something wrong, but whilst he sees the gun mendacity on the desk and hears the depth in Reese's voice, he freezes. The chance shakes him to his middle. Reese leans in and warns him that irrespective of in which he hides he will find him, and whilst he does he will kill him in a manner human beings will recollect for centuries. Shaken and terrified, Andrew finally is familiar with the burden of his actions and the actual outcomes if he ever crosses that line once more. The subsequent day Finch meets with Ree and offers him a new quantity. This time the character at the list is a decide named Gates, who's a single figure elevating his younger son Sam. Ree begins evolved tailing Gates and shortly notices that a few guys are following him. Before he can intrude a person, Speedy pulls out a Telesal smartphone from his pocket and throws it right into a trash bin, then walks away. Retrieves the Telesal smartphone and examines it. Discovers that they're going to kidnap kidnap Gates' son Sam. Realizing the hazard right now indicators Finch as rushes closer to Sam's area. However, by the point he receives there, a set of fellows are already surrounding the boy. Jumps into combat. However, he is outnumbered. Despite his efforts, he receives hit tough and is going down while he is at the floor. The attackers seize Sam and take him away, disappearing earlier than Ree can get better. Judge Gates gets a name from an unknown quantity. The caller threatens him, pronouncing that they've his son and he must wait for their subsequent name. Until then, he must now no longer try and alert any cop or feds, or they will reduce his son Sam into portions. Gates is shaken. Just then Ree arrives and tells Gates that he is aware of the whole thing. He guarantees to assist him get his son back correctly. At first, the Decide suspects that Ree is probably in the back of all this. However, finally he realizes Ree is genuinely looking to assist. He has the same opinion to paintings with him. Later he meets Detective Fusco and palms him a bullet. He tells Fusco to run ballistics and hint its starting place. Ree also offers him statistics, approximately a person who changed into these days concerned in a kidnapping. He believes this guy is attached to Sam's abduction and asks Fusco to dig into it. Finch informs Ree that he has hacked into the Mobile Telesol smartphone corporation and managed to hint the area of the kidnapper, primarily based totally at the message dispatched at some point of Sam's abduction. With the lead, Ree heads to the area. As quickly as he receives there, he takes down the person. He examines his frame and reveals a gang image tattooed on his chest. Ree right now realizes that Sam has been abducted via way of means of a European road gang that's an extension of an organization that used to function with Posthun warlords recognized for his or her violent kidnappings. It appears they've now multiplied their operations into New York. Reese then heads to Judge Gates's home. He reassures the Chews that he'll do the entirety to convey Sam returned thoroughly. He additionally tells him approximately the crowd's involvement. Judge Gates receives another name. The voice tells him to exonerate Angela Markham with inside the case of People versus Angela Markham or his son will die. Meanwhile, re-interrogates the captured guy. Caution that he is never wished greater than 16 hours to break a person, and this man may not be the first. The guy cracks and offers up an address wherein the crowd collects its cash. Reese heads there, unearths a stash of coins and brings it returned to Finch. Finch explains the entirety that Angela is operating with the crowd as a banker. She installed software program to launder their cash, changing it into smooth budget. But after a hit-and-run twist of fate, she were given into felony hassle and became to the crowd for assist in courtroom docket. Judge Gates reluctantly announces Angela harmless. Right after the verdict, he receives a name revealing wherein to locate his son. Gates rushes to the trade factor. However, the kidnappers pull weapons geared up to kill Sam just in time. Ree arrives dragging Angela at gunpoint. He warns them that in the event that they harm Sam, he'll shoot Angela. He additionally exhibits he knows all approximately their money laundering operation and Angela's function in it. A shootout erupts. Reese profits, manipulate and rescues each Sam and Judge Gates. Later, Finch anonymously leaves the record on the counselor's table with evidence of Angela's crimes. The case towards her is reopened. Finally, Ree and Finch lead police to Angela's hideout wherein she's discovered with gang individuals and stacks of unlawful coins. They're all arrested immediately. Now Ree is operating undercover as a motive force for Zoe Morgan. Zoe is now on the pinnacle of Finch's listing. Because of this, that her lifestyles is in risk. Before leaving, Zoe double-checks together along with her using provider to affirm her traditional motive force became simply changed on the different cease. Finch, posing as a company consultant, assures her the motive force is unwell and they have got dispatched a pinnacle replacement. Zoe has the same opinion and receives with inside the automobile with Ree on the manor. She stops to fulfill shady drug sellers and gets a mysterious bundle which Reese suspects is probably a weapon. Meanwhile, Finch searches Zoe's rental and unearths a hidden gun under her desk, elevating suspicions. But later Zoe meets the leader of police and hands him the gun, mockingly noting that his officer should not go away his weapon in restrooms, specifically considering the officer is his nephew. When police offer her cash and thank you, she interrupts and needs they consist of the phrase gratitude. She additionally insists they drop the research towards Councilman Rush under stress. The leader is of the same opinion. After this, Ree tells Finch that Zoe should have many enemies due to the character of her paintings. She does humans favors, solves their troubles, and in doing so ends up understanding loads of their secrets and techniques. Many humans is probably aggravated or even threatened via way of means of her, so they want to speedily discover who needs her useless and why. Zoe meets a person who hires her to retrieve a recording from a reporter due to the fact the recording carries sensitive facts. Approximately the man's boss Lawson, who owns a prime pharmaceutical organization, the recording famous NFL. Zoe is paid nicely and is requested to supply the recording as quickly as feasible. She is of the same opinion to take the task. The subsequent day, Zoe meets with the reporter and successfully retrieves the recording, but as she hands it over, guys unexpectedly assault her just in time. Ree indicates up from in the back of, takes them down and rescues Zoe from the scene. Later, Ree explains the whole lot to her and Zoe, famous that she had made a backup reproduction of the recording. When she performs it, a girl's voice is heard pronouncing that she cannot cover the reality to any extent further and that she desires to inform a person approximately what passed off. When Finch analyzes the recording, he discovers that the voice belongs to a lady named Dana who used to paintings on the pharmaceutical organization's workplace. She had mysteriously died 2 years in the past from a mind aneurysm at simply 27 years vintage, which appears enormously suspicious to look into. In addition, Finch disguises himself as a rich investor and visits the pharmaceutical organization. He finally meets Lawson, and as he is given an excursion of the power, he additionally meets Keller, the CEO of the organization. Both of them assure Finch that his funding will multiply. Notably, during the excursion, Finch learns that the organization is running on a new drug for migraines. Meanwhile, Ree meets Zoe once more and tells her that Dana wasn't killed due to her affair. She turned into murdered due to the fact she turned into approximately to divulge a scandal associated with the organization's new drug. Zoe provides that Dana's device Get Entry to turned into abruptly denied simply 5 days earlier than the scientific trials, and she turned into transferred out of her department. Zoe then shows they spoil into the organization to find the reality. Together they sneak into the constructing and retrieve exclusive documents. They find out that many human beings died during the scientific trials of the brand's new drug. If the drug is launched publicly, even more lives will be at hazard. But earlier than they can break out, Lawson's guys display up and capture each of them. Just then Mr. Keller and Lawson arrive. Zoe quick tells them that she has already mailed their incriminating record to a pal she gives to go back with the record if they allow her cross. Mr. Keller has the same opinion to her offer. Before leaving, Zoe kisses Ree and secretly slips her hairpin into his hand as Lawson's guy prepares to inject Ree with a toxic substance. Ree breaks unfastened and jabs the needle into the attacker as an alternative. Meanwhile, Finch takes Mr. Keller to a diner, though he reveals that he has bought all his stocks in Keller's organization and has additionally shorted their inventory. He mentions receiving a tip that the organization's senior control is approximately to stand criminal motion. This shocks Keller, who starts to realize the seriousness of the scenario. Then Finch tells Ree that Zoe has already dispatched her place to him. Ree quick rushes to the place. He fights off the guards and adequately rescues her from captivity. After ensuring she's okay, he drives her again domestic and drops her off adequately.